Just in time for the plane to be flying overhead. And we're back. So, so we've got the basics set out except for the timer. So now we actually need to build. So I'm going to leave all of this here as our template, and we're actually going to start building somewhere off. Which direction do I want to go? Where's 0, 0? Come on, brain. 0, 0 is probably a little bit too close. So let's wander off in positives. That way there's less characters to type. I said positives. I like the idea of starting somewhere nice and even. 50-50. Alright, so I might have to clear that stuff out later. I will have to clear that stuff out later, but it's within reach now while we do it. So we're starting with the nucleus. Or should we start with the mitochondria? Alright, so because this is a loop, I don't actually know where to start. But essentially students need to start within the mitochondria. So somewhere up here is the platform where students are going to start. Right, this is actually starting the lesson, not the logging in. So I'll do the spawn location and stuff later. But essentially up in the air here is going to be the mitochondria with the cristae, where the students will do their actual, students will actually put, the mechanics will come into play with what we sorted out before. Alright, so because I'm planning on making this multiplayer, I'm going to need space. So I'm going to need more than what I've got here. So I don't want the floor to be flat, but I do need a location where students can actually do stuff. So at the moment I'm trying to form this as the cristae in a mitochondria, and the cristae are all interfolded and interleaved in each other. It's basically a whole heap of membrane spaces within the mitochondria itself. So I'm trying to get that feel, if you will, in what I'm building now. So if you tie this into the animal cell map that I've created, right, then I want this to be a little bit maze-like. And I like the idea of 3 blocks high because then they can't jump and see over it. Right. So still not enough space for multiple people, unless we set up multiple locations that they can do stuff. It's not a bad idea. So for instance, you could have ATP synthase placed here, and ATP placed here. I'm going to have to work out how many of those I put in. Right, so there's where one person can put it, so that means here and here. So ATP, which one's ATP synthase? I can't see. Can I see it in my inventory? In wrong inventory, this one. I don't have it. I must have got rid of it. Let's go get some. So ATP synthase is this one. Oh, and glucose. Okay, so that's going to have to be 3 high. So ATP synthase and glucose. So glucose goes here, right? So the students need to place that. So that's one location where it's good to happen. I want to give them multiple places for it to happen. Not only if there's multiple players, but just because I think that's good design. They don't have to do it all in the one location every time. And they can probably have multiple going at any given time. Now that's something I hadn't actually thought of. They could have multiple reactions happening here at multiple times. So ATP, no, not question mark, ATP synthase and glucose, not that one. Alright. I feel like over here is another good spot if we're talking balance. ATP, synthase, glucose. I wish we could copy paste signs. You probably can boards actually if I want to do boards. Can you do boards? I have to try that. ATP synthase. I think I've said in the past that I like using signs for signs because it helps the kids forget that they're in Education Edition and it feels like they're just playing Minecraft. Okay, it doesn't look like Minecraft in this circumstance here, but see, that feels like a good size to me, and it enables 3 kids at any given time to be running this. Not that I'm expecting 3 kids will need to be in here running it at any given time, but you never know. So now I'm just going to flesh it out a little bit more so I can put walls around it. And I have to work out paths in and paths out and stuff like that. Big flat wall here, might have to do that. Try and avoid big flat walls as much as we can. And I'm going to have to curve the roof over so it's more dome-like. Let's bring you out. Yeah, up there. Alright. See, so that feels pretty good. I reckon here's our path in. And then we want a path out there, probably another path out there, and we could give them another path out there. So the idea being they can come in and out of that any given way they do. So that's sort of that part done. Drink break, I'm just going to mute for a tick. Okay, so I'm feeling pretty comfortable with that as the mitochondria. Now, do I want multiple of these around? Probably not. So from here, I'm just going to build so we can see where things are. It would be cool if I could actually do this in the animal cell. See my brain tick over then? What's stopping me? Not sure what's stopping me. So if we copied this, alright, and we put them in creative mode, and we had, instead of the platforms and the teleporters, if we had entry and exit points to mitochondria, ERs, Golgi, definitely be more immersive. But probably harder to do. Or would it? They go to the ribosomes, they throw down their 1, 2, 3 items or 4 items or whatever there, so any ribosome, say any ribosome, that's tricky, any ribosome means I've got to set up command blocks for each and every one of them. And the Golgi's not really set up for it. I'll think on that. I'll keep building in the other one for now, and I'll think about that. Because that mitochondria is significant, is fairly much, good English, is fairly, there goes another plane, is significantly bigger than any of the mitochondria in the other cell. And it's more, so I see this as a follow-up as such. So they've gone through the animal cell already, so they know theoretically by sight what this particular organelle is and stuff like that. So if I'm going to dome, so let's sort of is that kind of the shape? That'll do. To give it the basic skeleton structure. This is how I built the animal cell originally, doing stuff like this. Although we did have long build when I did it, so that made it a fair bit easier. Now all I've got to do is make the floor. Do I want it to be hard to navigate, or do I want it to be easy to navigate? What's the advantage game mechanic wise of it being hard to navigate? Other than making it trickier for them to keep up and manage the cell. Kind of makes more sense for it to be a bit up and down all over the place. So let's say we were going to bring it down. Not as much as we have the roof though. Right. So as an overall, let's just come back a little bit. As an overall three-dimensional shape, that I'm pretty happy with that as an overall three-dimensional shape. So I think I might knock out the floor and make it a bit more uneven. Without like, I don't think I've impacted too much on the ability to get round in there. But we'll also have to put glowstone around. Up high. Yeah. Alright. So that's the mitochondria. So now I need somewhere, and we'll come off this direction here, the nucleus. Not 3 O's in wool. Nucleus is that one. Right. That's a reasonable distance. So let's take it down a bit. Again, they can't be in creative. They can't fly. Hang on. What is it? Ability. So we can do a mayfly. So if I hop down, survival, that's the danger with that. I just wanted to check. That's what would happen. So how do I turn off? Bits of cell stuff everywhere. How do I turn off player health without giving them creative mode? Full damage. Another plane. Okay. So we can make them able to fly and not be in creative mode. So that means we won't necessarily need the paths between them. Like I thought we would. And we don't have to make it easy on them either. Let's try and get a nucleus shape we're happy with here. So I always found it easier to work in 2 dimensions. So if they can fly, then it doesn't matter how easy it is to traverse or not. Now this is not going to be the centre of the nucleus. I want it offset from the mitochondria. But that's a fairly good shape. So let's say I wanted that shape over here. How am I doing? So this is going to be the center. Because I want it offset. I don't want... I'm trying to avoid like linear paths. So I'm also going to have entry holes in the top and entry holes in the bottom of those, because in theory they should be able to go in any way they want. So let's make this reasonably large out here. A little bit misshapen out on this edge here. The great thing about making it up as you go along, it doesn't matter in reality how it looks. See, so that's going to come from there up, basically, and this will come like so. And what I did last time was with long build on, I'd stand on one spot. Why does that place under? That was weird. Do that again. If you hold shift, it places directly below. Even though I'm looking at that face of the block, it places directly below it. That's interesting. Anyway. So that could just be shaped like that. So this is a fairly large area, which is fine. The nucleus needs to be large. I might come out this way a little bit. Sort of try and build this up and out a little bit. And hook it back up here. It's easier to build in 2 dimensions than 3. So I don't know why I'm doing this. Talk about misshapen. But that's the beauty of this, as it can be. It doesn't matter. It's just one person's opinion about what a cell might look like. That was the great thing about creating Animal Cell. Alright, yeah, that's a pretty sweet basic structure for the nucleus. Okay, so there are 2 things I need to do in here, aren't there? Yeah, they've got to do the DNA polymerase and the RNA creation. You should enable long building. Hey Tony, how you going? I agree with you. I wish. I'm pressing R. Oh no, that was an E. I used to always have it set to R, and I wish I had it. How are you? You good? What time is it for you right now? Right, so now it comes down to whether I want to include the nucleolus in this. So if we go back to here and look at wool, that's the nucleolus. Right, so do I want in here somewhere, and this is why we need to work out whether this is going to be big enough or not. Is that the nucleolus or is that ribosomes? Black wool is ribosomes, I think. Yeah, that's ribosomes. So this is the nucleolus. So if they're coming in here to do the RNA synthesis, 8:42, which direction? Morning? No, it's evening for you, isn't it? No, it is in the morning. You just got to work. If I had a sphere up here where students had to do the mRNA synthesis, because technically, if we minimize that, get one of these up here, mRNA synthesis occurs within the so mRNA, right, is what they're creating. Now, so all they really need to know in terms of the senior biology course over here is that it happens in the nucleus. So I think I might forget about the nucleolus, not worry about it. So instead of working, you're watching me. You guys never saw me make the animal cell, did you? So this is basically how I did it, only I had longer reach so that I could stand further back and just make it happen. So shape-wise. Alright, so I need a couple of locations where they're going to be able to do DNA synthesis and mRNA synthesis. Now DNA synthesis, I only want one station, really. And that might happen over on this wall over here. Somehow got to come around here to try and get a rough idea of where that's going to be. Cell lesson's done. Well, sort of done. This is the next level. This is the thing I never got done when I was actually building the other one. This is the energy transfer part. This is the part that talks about what the cell uses energy for. Hey, mechanics, come and have a look at this. Well, you can't, no choice, just keep watching. If I come down here and I grab one mRNA polymerase and one ATP, right? If I put RNA polymerase there and ATP there, it starts producing me proteins. Well, starts producing me proteins, and then when it's done, right, RNA synthesis is finished and you get your 4 products, which then you go and put in other places around the cell. So because they're all mRNA products, all of these need to go to the mitochondria. No, the ribosome. So we go to the ribosome and we place them here, ATP and the mRNA we want, and that'll go through a counting process like that and produce either the protein or the pre-protein product. If it's the protein, then you can just take that and put it in the mitochondria, or this one to put in the Golgi. But these two pre-protein products go to the ER, and it goes through the same process and then produces these guys here. And then you take them to the nucleus to get them all happening. So that's what we're building. That's the mechanics we're using and what we're building. So we're doing the nucleus at the moment. It's a very odd shaped nucleus. And sort of over here, get that back on the bar. Right, is where the DNA synthesis is going to happen. So we want blue wool there and ATP there. So where's my sign? So down here ATP, and I'm going to try and be consistent that ATP is always at the bottom. And then DNA synthase there, right? And that timer will kick in and disappear that. Now, the only scientific issue I have with it is that, technically speaking, the enzymes don't get used up, technically. But for the intents and purposes I've got here, I do want them to be used up. I could randomize it so they only get used up every now and then, which might be something I look into, because I can do that with randomizers. But that's essentially what's going on here. So there's that one. And again, because they're flying, it doesn't have to all happen on the floor. So we could put another one up here for ATP and RNA polymerase, ATP and RNA, And right over in the back corner here looks good for ATP and RNA. So that's our 3. So they can have multiple reactions going at once. There's only going to be one of them and they have to keep that going. So they can choose to use their ATP to produce a heap of mRNA, but they might not have enough ATP to keep the cell growing and stuff. That's the plan. All right. So that's basically that. So again, fleshing out makes me feel ill enough. I'm sure it's not any better on stream. So next thing we need, if we have a look at wool, already looking at wool. So lime wool I'm going to need, and black wool I'm going to need. Oh, and red glass. Right, so if that's the nucleus, the ER is normally quite close. So in the interest of making it somewhat more difficult, let's bring the ER out this side here. Now, in here, because they've got 4 different, no, that's the ribosome. I need 4 different ribosomes. No, what do I need? Multiple ribosomes, all testing for all 4 items. In the ER, I have 2 items because I have these 2 coming in. So I have multiple locations where they can just throw them. Doesn't really matter. So this needs to be predominantly vertical and around the nucleus, like that. Yeah, I think I want to keep it separate to the animal cell at this stage. Like I could do it in the animal cell, but with all that floating glowstone to give the cell the ambience I want, I just don't think that's a good idea to build it in there at the moment, or to build this out as if it would work in there. So what else is news, Tony? Assuming you're still there. How's bringing games to classrooms around the world going? Right. How do I want this to look? I want it to shape up and over that way. A bit. Yep. I also want you to come down and around this way a little bit too. Alright, so let's say that that's kind of like the outer edge. Like that. So there won't be, well, maybe there will be a nuclear pore just here. It's going great as usual. Good, 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 good. that. So this is a much smaller ER than in the animal cell, but that's okay. Let's bring you less diagonal. That's very vertical there, but we'll play with that. Alright. Okay, man, see you later. Thanks for dropping by and chatting. That's not what I want. But you do need to come out and around because there needs to be space in here. So take you up out here. It's very flat. Now I can't go down too much further. In terms of building space. Because there's only 3 blocks of grass there before bedrock. Okay. So if we said that was the ER, right, that works. So again, fleshing that out. Why are you lighting up, phone? So you would also come out to here. That's fairly decent, and I can have membranes going through there. Okay, so then I need ribosomes, so I'm going to keep them separate from the ER, even though there's a rough ER and smooth ER. I'm going to keep them separate, and there's going to be, see, stylized, because the ribosomes are actually not an organelle that in theory you'd be big enough, small enough to go into. They wouldn't be big enough for you to go into. So what's the way around that? So layout wise, I reckon I want the Golgi over here somewhere. Learning how to build in midair, check that out. So I want this up high. Right, higher than the rest anyway. It'll have more shape than that. Let's come in. Alright, and this is flattened pancakes, sort of. So what I haven't done is sorted out where we're going to stick these things in here. Here looks like a good spot, so we're going to put ATP in the ER. here looks like another reasonably good spot. And over here somewhere. Like that. Right, so it gives them 4 locations in here. I could even throw another one up here if I really wanted. I'm not opposed to having more locations. It's just a matter of how much lag gets caused by the command blocks, but hopefully not too many. So I'd have to note down all these locations later and work all of that out. It's the ribosome that worries me. So logistically speaking, ribosomes are going to be out here. That's weird, didn't show up. So logistically speaking, in the animal cell, the ribosomes are this shape here. So we could do this. Alright, so that's what ATP and mRNA. So we could make multiple of these, right? That would then, so that's something we need to think about. Chest goes there. Chest goes there. I like the maze-like structure of this. Chest goes there. There's only 3 in there, were there? Yeah. So we could make multiple of them around the place. I like the idea of consistency. Always to the left. In that case, that would be better there. Okay. You haven't got a chest yet. Signs go there. Right, so we could have multiple of them dotted around. It's not a bad idea. I like that idea. And just to be a pain, I've lost my ATP. And the chest comes out there. So I want more. See, there might be a strategy here for kids around choosing which ribosome they use for making which protein, because it would make a lot more sense in terms of being successful if you use this one here for producing the product for ATP. So it would make a lot more sense to put ATP synthase there, the mRNA for that, so that when you get your product at the end, you've only got to come down here to the mitochondria to deliver it. I want 4. Let's throw another one over here. I haven't used white wool for anything, that's interesting. You can go this way. And we might throw another one just down here somewhere, just because we can. It makes more sense to put it sort of this side here. Okay, throwing through the nucleus. Okay, so that's not too bad a space. So it's a bit smaller than the other animal cell. What's the time? That's okay. It's a bit smaller than the other animal cell, which is fine. I've got to work out whether I want to put the cell membrane around it. Because depending on where I put glowstone, it'll melt. So I need to think about that. So that's all of them done. So now I've really got to make this guy. Because I want it to be visually... appealing is not the right word, but visually sort of okay. It's probably the better way of saying it. That's an alright shape. Okay, so I still need places in the Golgi, but I've got to build out the Golgi. So we've got ATP production with glucose, which will come from putting amylase there. Amylase can be produced at the ribosomes from the mRNA. These can also produce, so the mRNA comes from in here. And depending on the product you get, you've either got to take it over here or not. And I actually think I like the idea of randomizing whether that disappears or not. So I'm going to have to think about how I do, like I know how to do that. But I need to think about the chances of it. Because they do get, I mean, they do wear out, for lack of a better way of saying it. So I think having them disappear every now and then instead of every time, so if it's 1 in 3 times or 1 in 4 times or whatever, I think is a better option. Just a matter of setting up this to actually do that. So this block here, no, this block here, this one here, 21.5, yeah, this one here needs to be set on a random chance of it happening, if that makes sense. How can I do that effectively here in this situation? Let's do a bit of a mock-up. If I put you there, you there, then from there get a comparator. That comes out to that command block, which becomes an impulse, unconditional, needs redstone. Right. No. That'll pop it too early. I need to invert it again. Don't I? Realistically, I want to activate at the same time as that does, but you can't drag redstone through it. which is frustrating because I thought you could, because there should be a redstone signal coming out of there now. I suppose technically speaking, drag you out there, that would do it, so don't worry about that. Shift all of you over one. Like that. Right, so then I think you need to be, let's say, that many blocks away. Because if I get something that can't stack, like a sword, because there's already air there, so let's throw block placed, so it placed it. But if hang on, why is it staying there? Alright, it didn't place. Why isn't that going back down? What are you getting a redstone signal from? Right, that's working now. Okay. Right, so it won't. There's a 1 in 4 chance there at the moment, or a 1 in 5 chance. Yeah, 1 in 5 chance. That block gets destroyed. So what does that do? So if we, you I want, you I want, you I don't. So if I control pick block you, let you put you down there. Right, okay. Let's put you there. You are which one? You're the top one? Right, so let's grab you, put you there, delete you and you. Right, what does that do if I then put ATP synthase and ATP here? It destroyed that chest and it shouldn't have. But the timer stopped and the signal went. But it shouldn't have destroyed that chest. Because now it won't work. Because so there's an order. So that time it disappeared, but so did the chest. Why is the chest disappearing? And the timer's still running. Dang it. Is it the order? I want to clone first. And then I want to put you there. Does that change? Does that change the process? Change what happens? No. So yeah, there's a 1 in 5 chance that that block gets destroyed. So it didn't that time. But that's messed up that other stuff now. Because what's happening is that block is getting destroyed again as soon as it's placed, and this runs again, and I don't want it to. That redstone block isn't destroying quick enough. That's the redstone block. So what's the order this needs to happen? That's what I need to work out now. That's where my issue is. So, ooh, wrong buttons. Fingers on the right buttons. The order is, I place this, start the timer. Okay, and that's all this does. Looking for the block, looking for the block, start the, destroy the chest. Nope, I'm playing to 24. Yeah, so destroy the chest. And then start the timer. So what if I swap you two around? That's unconditional now. Is that the problem? Is it that simple? Can't do anything because that wasn't destroyed. Alright, still destroyed the chest. So I'm not too sad about, but that stops it working the second time, like it won't work. If I can't destroy the chest. Do I need to destroy the chest? Well, let's just throw you down there. Grab you. Timer's still going. It destroyed the redstone block again. So what's destroying the redstone block? This is destroying the redstone block, but it's destroying it too quickly. No, it's not destroying it quick enough. So should that... That's the timer. Start. And here is the timer end. Yeah. So does the timer end? Are those two over here? Close. And clone. Is it just an order thing? Because I'm forcing the replacement of that chest anyway. So this picks it up again and destroys it because those blocks are still there. So this runs second to this because this is always running. So what if you weren't always... No, you need to be always running because you're checking for the blocks. So does that mean... If that's testing for the block out there, why can't this test for the block there? Because it places the block there. So what if the first thing we did was place the block there? What if this command... No, what if this command... Like, what if I change the way this worked? Because I do want that random thing happening. And to get that random thing happening, I obviously need to alter the way this is doing its stuff. And by not destroying the chest, it just overwrites their other stuff each time, so I'd prefer to be destroying the chest. Which means I do want you here. Yeah, that way that pops out so they can just grab them. Alright, because that's conditional, the timer never stops. Because that one is conditional on the other one happening, and this one didn't happen because air was already there, which is the redstone block. That's the ATP. That sets that. So if it doesn't detect that the first time, it can't do it ever again because that's conditional. So what if you're not conditional? Fly. Right, now it does it twice. Because it only produced one set. Because it's conditional on that happening. Oh dear Lord. And that didn't trigger again. So why is that triggering again? Why is that one there triggering again? So what if we swapped you two? Hey. Alright. Test for redstone, test for all. So I want you. Right. And you're not conditional. Right. Now we'll get unconditional always active. Huh? Why is that not working now? That's insanity. Right. Right, but that destroyed the synthase that time. Destroyed it again. Didn't destroy it. And the spam continues. Who's that? Can't quite read your username. Hi there. Max Hammer. There you go. Day's going okay. I'm going to have to call it soon, but day's going very well. I've come from nothing to the mess you see before you. Okay, that destroyed it. Okay, that seems fairly consistent and gives me the option for the random destruction of the, or random wearing out of the protein or enzyme. Okay. So, don't need you, or you. And that is basically one setup if you want the random destruction. Okay, so I can clone that over and over again. So this can be the actual sort of work area. So all of this can do the detecting over there. Yeah, that'll work. Dang it. Why? You worked 3 times in a row. Why didn't you work that time? What's changed in the last 2 seconds? I got rid of those other blocks. Those other command blocks that were always active. That's what's changed. Hang on, that clone happened really quick. Why did that clone happen? When did that clone happen? That happened the right time. Just that's not getting placed. feel like that should be conditional on this one working. Are we consistent now? I think we are. It's still finding the block because it doesn't need redstone. Isn't it? So if it's not using that redstone signal, they can go anywhere. They don't actually have to go there. Now we won't see that spam anymore. Right. So now it's working again with the randomness of destruction. So say 10% chance it gets broken. There you go. And they can pick them up or wait until they do it again. Okay. So now we've got the random stuff happening. So now I've just got to build this thing out. That's a fairly good location for ATP. Where's amylase? I don't have any amylase. Yes, I do right there. And then my chest, which it doesn't have any more. Goes there. Okay, so the other thing I need to think about do I like the idea of them getting all 4 mRNAs? I think that's okay. So based on that, you get different things. So there are going to be... Do I have my sign on me? No. I feel like I'm all over the place here. Get rid of all of that stuff. Right. So you're... like a type. Okay. So we're going to have a different set. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So there's going to be 4 arrays of that based on these 4 things. So you're going to get 1 amylase, 1 ATP synthase. Right. So your amylase, your ATP synthase, your RNA poly, which means your DNA poly. I don't need to look in you. Alright, so that's the clones. I need 4 of them arrayed though. And you will have that one. So put it in the center because it clones it. Your RNA poly clone me. And your DNA poly. So how much sugar do I want to get from one amylase? right? Why not name you? Yeah, I did. What if we said you got 4? Just as a random. Alright. What are you? Not labelled right. So you're... So how much ATP do I want to give them? It's going to be a bit of a guessing game, I think. You don't provide anything back, so you're fine. So RNA provides, we've got the 4 products there that are being cloned, 2 there, 1 there, which gives you 4 glucose. Each glucose gives you 9 ATP, which is wrong, gives you 32 to 36. So there's 27. I wish I could clone you. So 17, let's clone it so we actually get it. Four, 6. So slash clone, put my pen over it, 17, 4, 6 to 17, 4, 6. Right. So if we said $32, how tricksy can we be? You know, can I do that? right? So that way we can randomize which chest gets cloned. So they can get between 32 and 34, and we can do that the same way we did this. How did I do this last time? I have redstone. Let's test something out. So we have one coming in. We give that a choice of 2. From there, we give that a choice of 2. And that a choice of 2. Alright, so only one can get cloned. So 32, 33, 34, 35. So this (32, 33, 34, 35, 36). So we essentially set it up this in an array like this, where each has an equal chance to trigger. Which is easy, right? Maybe. Maybe not. I'll need to think about that one. But we can do it. I've done it before. Unless there's an easy way. Because one of them has to trigger. So in the old way, there was always the chance that none of them would trigger. But you need all of them to trigger. Need to think on that. Really need to think on that, because I like that idea of giving them the random 32 to 34 from an ATP. Now, if we're getting 4 sugar out of that, that's giving us, on average, 34 ATP to run the cell. So how much ATP is required? 1 for this step, 1 to get amylase, and another one here. So technically speaking, 1, 2, 3, 4. Let me check something, because I have a feeling yeah, 2 ATPs need to go in, and you get 36 ATPs out. There you go. So 30 or 32. There you go. My maths is wrong over there, so I only need to split it into 3, but that's fine. But they've got to give 2 for it to be right. So that's in the mitochondria, so they've got to give 2 ATPs for that process to start. It's already a 3-block high tower. ATP is always going to get used. Do we make them place it there like that? It's an issue here. I need to widen that out. So I need another block there. Saying ATP there. And then my chests can come in there. So it works okay here. Not so much here. That'll be okay. Okay. Two ATP and glucose, and that nets them the 30 to 32. Where did I get 34 to 36 from? Or 30 to 36? So what did it say? 30 to 32. That was the wrong button. Still causes the issue because we're uneven there. You're 30. Right. So what does that do over here? So one of them needs to trigger. One of them needs to trigger guaranteed. So what if it always triggered? Let's get rid of it all. What if 31 always triggered? Right? 31 always triggered. And then after 31 triggers, you have a chance, equal chance, of triggering 30 and 32 and overwriting 31, right? So if you had that running, like that, right, for lack of a better way of doing it, if you had that running through those dispensers and they had an equal chance of triggering, then you're always going to get 31, or you may get 30, or you may get 32. So you're always getting 31. This one may override it and make it 30, or this one may override it and make it 32. That'll work because you can just clone. You don't have to destroy it before you do it. So the destroy will happen like it does here at the start of the process, right? And then at the end of the process, 31 will get placed and may get replaced by 30 or 32. That should do it. That should work. We should be able to get that to work. I like that idea. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So, back over here. I'm going to have to go soon. Nearly dinner time here. Kids nearly home. So that brings in the idea that some processes in the cell require more energy than others, which is not a bad idea to have. How many places do I want this happening? And again, do I just want ATP? 1 ATP. What's it take for 1 ATP? What's it take to put something out of the cell? Is 1 ATP proportional? If we're going to try and get more accurate with the numbers, or maybe we just state we're being accurate where we can be. We don't actually know how much ATP goes into producing a protein or bringing sugar in or something like that. Let's be honest. Crazy talk right there. Tell kids the truth. Tell kids we don't know something. Bah, humbug. It's too big. Proportionally speaking, it's too big. That feels better. To sort of curve around a bit. wanted to leave them. If you come back out this way, that's a nice section. Hydrolysis of 1 mole of ATP is equivalent to 30.5 kilojoules. As for a single ATP, probably not much. Hey Dave Dragon, how you going? Alright. So, while biology may never have been your forte, it sounds like you know a little bit. Or you're just pulling random things out of the interwebs. So, I don't know how long you've been there. What I'm trying to work out... Hey SLT, Wes, how you going? What I'm trying to work out, alright, we throw glucose into the mitochondria. Specs of what? Oh, yes, I'm on a PC. Oh, you Googled, thank you. A Ryzen 7, GeForce 750, and 16 gig RAM, and a solid state drive of something or other for the system. Other than that, that's probably it. So we can get glucose in, and we're going to get 4 glucose in from 1 amylase. So we get rid of 1 amylase with 1 ATP, and that's what I'm worried about. How much ATP does it actually cost to export a protein from a cell, right? And then from one of those glucoses, we get either 31, 32, or 30 ATP, one of these 3 chests here, okay? We're going to need ATP to drive DNA synthesis, which is just going to be a consistent impact on the cell, right? This produces 4 mRNAs from currently 1 ATP, and I'm not sure I like that. This will produce any one of these proteins or pre-protein products for 1 ATP. And this will produce any one of these proteins for 1 ATP. So I'm not sure how much, I need to work out how much energy it takes to produce a protein and then work backwards from there. Or do I just say I'm accurate where I can be and where we know, everywhere else is just an estimate or a made up number? Animal cell. One of them here. Do I still have amylase on me? Yes. Is amylase in it? Yeah. Chest will appear there. I need block under the chest. Actually, I need to be aware of that. I need blocks under the chests. Already done that everywhere else. Looks like it. So that way the blocks don't fly off into nowhere. Okay. Too many variables for one. It could belong to any system, and that itself changes the cell's function. Agreed. But in general, the cost of producing a protein is going to be the same across most cells in an animal. The cost of exporting said protein may differ depending on the concentration of said protein within the cells, within the organism's body, but an average is what I was going for. Yep, ATP can vary how much energy it gives, agree with that. So there's too many variables here to make it exact, which is why I was thinking, well, we know it costs approximately 2 ATP to drive cellular respiration, which is essentially this here. 2 ATP, an RNA polymerase, and a glucose will provide you with, say, 32 ATP. It might be 30 or it might be 31, right? So we know that for a fact. That's been scientifically judged and proven and is an agreed upon fact as such. So we can put that in here. But since we don't know how much it takes to produce 1 ATP synthase molecule, we can't determine how much energy is going to be required to drive this process here. So we say, let's just say it's costing 1 ATP. It's likely to be much more than that. But again, I have no idea, and I don't think anybody does. So I'm okay with saying we don't know. Definitely okay with saying we don't know. So we might just stick with we don't know. Nobody knows for sure how much energy is required and do that based on that. You Googled again. Google's a wonderful beast. Yes, I did know the mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell. That's it over there. That's what's giving us all the ATP we're going to get out of this system here. What's a ratio of calories to joules is? We could, but I'm not sure what benefit that would hold in this situation we're talking about here. To what end would you be doing that? But then how would you relate calories to 1 ATP? Or are you talking about not doing that? I'm not trying to work out how much energy is in. Well, I suppose maybe you might be onto something there. Maybe we are trying to work out how much energy is in a protein. So there's 3 places where they can do that. There's more than 2 problems with this. But please, if you can get it down to 2, go for it. Yeah, like I say, I'm happy to say this is an estimate, or this is just a completely made up number because we don't know. And I think that's what I'm going to do with this map, is say I've put in where we know it, I've put that in. Where we don't know it, I have left it out and I've made up, So the only ATP that's correct is in here. So any ATP you get from the mitochondria and the recipe for getting ATP out of the mitochondria is correct, but any of the others aren't correct, and I'm happy to say that. That's fine. It's not an issue at all. So 3 locations there. Each of these is going to have 4 different ones of these. An assumed ratio from an uneducated guess. We could. That's one way of saying it. I'm not sure I like just the one for everything though. But then it comes back to time as well. Makes me sound cool. There is one thing I have never been, Dave, and that is cool. I have learnt to live with that fact for many, many years now. No, there's no chest there because they don't get any products out of that, so that doesn't need to be there. There's no cloning happening here. So that just runs through and through. Hey, Dave, you an expert on Minecraft at all? By chance? I was playing around earlier with something. If you know... True. Do you know how to change the colour of that? Just as a matter of interest. So I know I could get it happening on Java Minecraft. I'm not sure it's in Pocket or Bedrock yet. But if you don't know, you don't know. It's all good. Yeah, okay. Cool. Yeah, look, I mean, my classes were pretty good friends. Yeah, I couldn't find it on a quick Google I did earlier. But so don't stress too much if you've got other things that you would rather be doing. I want that to be very, very maze-like. That feels better. That feels better. Okay, let's start knocking out the floor. Okay, thank you. It's not, I mean, like I say, it's not a game breaker in reality. It's more of a just if I could easily do it, I would, but if I can't, I can't. It can be there. Oh, this is making me dizzy. How you doing? Found it. Found it for Minecraft Bedrock, or found it for Minecraft Java? Oh, sounds like the family's home. Definitely family home. I have no idea. Can you post a link? I'm not sure whether it'll block you or not. I don't even know how to give you permission. Hi, matey. Xavier? Yeah, matey. I'm in my study, dude. Hey, buddy. How are you? Where are you? This side. This side. What you got? What's your head? What's your head? Watching. You want to watching? Watching. More. You do have Fillmore, don't you? Lightning. And lightning, yes, and lightning. Alright. The entrance of this young man pretty much puts... Man, yes. Pretty much puts pause to...
How you feeling?
Work for the day.
How you feeling?
Are you right?
Oh, I thought you were wrong. Sorry.
That's alright. Stream started. If I don't know if you can post a link or not. Go for it. I don't know whether you're allowed or I don't know. I'm new to this whole streaming thing. I have no idea what you can and cannot do and how I can allow you to do it. If it won't let you, I'll see if I can figure it out. There you go. Okay, thank you. I'll have a look at that. Dad. Yes, matey. Daddy. Yeah, you can see Daddy on the screen, can't you? Hey? Lightning and Fillmore, yeah. Alright. I'm actually going to have to go now. Thanks for your help, Dave. I'll have a check of that link. And yeah, I'll be online doing this again at some stage, so if you want to see how it shapes up and how it goes, follow me. Otherwise, it'll be out on the Minecraft Education website sooner or later. Alright, I'm out. Thanks. See ya.